Today I'm here with Emily Best, founder of Seed and Spark.
That's true.
You just did the most amazing panel. It was so much fun. You have so much enthusiasm. I think you should have been a stand-up comedian, maybe.
I think this is also part of pitching, right? Is write checks you don't know how to cash and then go figure out how to cash them. It's actually also a cool part of pitching. A question you must consider before you actually make a decision about who you're pitching and what you're pitching them. What is your end game? Because you're going to need to be aligned with the people around you, around what the end game is. If your end game is winning an Oscar, groovy. That's a very specific set of movies, right, that get in that category. It's a very specific set of distribution companies. Like, you have to be on a real straight and narrow path if that gold statue is the thing. Totally fine. Do you want to be a network executive? Do you want to be just making a sustainable living in Ojai, which seems like maybe should be everyone's goal?
So talk to me a little bit about how you came to found Seed and Spark.
Sure.
Tell us what it is.
Seed and Spark is a creative marketplace for people who make movies and shows to make a sustainable living. We've combined the audience building power of crowdfunding with the ease for audiences of subscription streaming to create a real end-to-end sort of soup to nuts creative platform for filmmakers to make and monetize their work. And for audiences to support the creators that are really exciting to them.
So you can put your content on there. How do they monetize the content?
So on the crowdfunding side, we work like a lot of other crowdfunding platforms, right? You're there to gather audience, raise money, get the project off the ground. When the project is finished, we have a subscription streaming platform. Only about 15% of what's on the subscription streaming platform right now is crowdfunded, and that's just because a lot of the stuff that's crowdfunded is still on the circuit or still getting made. But yeah, and then we pay per minutes watched. We pay the highest royalties you can make in the film business right now.
Wow, and that's interesting.
And
how many subscribers do you have?
We are brand baby new, so we're like we just tipped over the top of 2,000 subscribers, and yet still can pay the highest royalties that can be made in the business right now.
Wow, that is really impressive. Yeah.
And well, it just sort of makes me wonder, like, how come Amazon is paying 6 cents an hour? I would like to know. I would like to know, Amazon, why are you paying only 6 cents an hour?
I'm sure they'll get right back to us.
Yeah. Let me know.
So you raised money. You set up this platform to raise money.
Yep.
You obviously write, pitch, produce your own product. Tell me about what you're working on.
I made a web series with a group of really incredible women. We did 2 seasons of a web series. Can I swear?
Absolutely.
Great. I made 2 seasons of web series called Fuck Yes. These are digital shorts about sexual consent. And those are actually all streaming on Seed and Spark now. We were actually crowdfunding the 2nd season when the Donald Trump Access Hollywood tapes came out, and we were like, hey, if anybody ever wants to know why we need like really comprehensive and fun, enjoyable, engaging, meaningful consent education, now might be the time. I think it's really important that we have positive models, that it's so much of sex education is just about what not to do, how not to get pregnant, how not to get an STD, how
really valid point.
Right. And so I think it's a lot more engaging to show people what to do. And I will say my own personal motivation behind the series was we started working on it when my sister, I have a half sister, who at the time was like 14. And I would like lose sleep at night trying to figure out how to help her not make the mistakes that I made. So the other thing I'm working on is a feature documentary about the Equal Rights Amendment. Most people don't know, actually what we discovered is most people don't know that women do not have equal rights under the Constitution, that the ERA did not in fact get ratified, and that we are still fighting this fight. The ERA was introduced in 1924. It did not make it to a vote on the floor until 1972. and it failed to ratify the 37 states by an artificial timeline that was placed on it by its opponents in 1982.
Wow.
And it wasn't until the Madison Amendment passed, which is an amendment that just says like Congress can't raise their own salaries. It takes effect later. That was literally introduced by James Madison 200 years earlier, that there seemed to be enough legal precedent to say there's no such thing as a time limit on ratification. And then, interestingly enough, Donald Trump got elected, and there was a renewed push to ratify.
It's fascinating. I love that.
What you have is right now hundreds and hundreds of really important lawsuits around women's safety, around workplace discrimination, around pay equity that have been lost because
right.
And the decisions of the Supreme Court were basically because there's nothing in here that says we need to be equal about it.
In my film, Breaking Down the Walls, that I pitched at your fabulous pitch panel, which was so amazing.
Thank you. If you will start by telling us who we are so that we know with what ears to listen. Are we investors, advisors, collaborators, etc.? Great. We're investors. Tell me the money. I've been told that you have to speak into the microphone.
Okay.
Go be in the audience. Go for it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Caulfield, and I optioned a book called Breaking Down the Walls in the vein of hidden figures on Wall Street. And it is a remarkable true life story set in the 1960s about the first female that was ever allowed to walk on the New York Stock Exchange.
She was the first woman, and they literally said to her at this firm, well, we don't know what to pay you. We've never had a woman. And she said, this is actually one of the things that drew it to me. She said, well, how much are you paying the men? I won't ask for more than you're paying them. And I love that response.
That's in your trailer, by the way.
Right?
Like, that's a trailer moment.
It's totally a trailer moment.
1000%.
Because the
so
truth
good.
is, they were like, well, wait a second. You have your husband. She's like, I don't have my husband, and I need a wife. So there's all of these misconceptions that the woman isn't going to work as hard because she's got this role at home. And I think that whole, your place is in the kitchen, as much as we're modern. And I think that the younger generations definitely are brought up with role models so that they don't have those kinds of bias, is still very prevalent.
So it's interesting what you say about pay equity. The Supreme Court ruled quite the opposite. This was many years ago, and it was a Walmart case around being able to hire people into jobs with salaries based on their prior salary, right? So it went to the Supreme Court, and it was decided that yes, you could use previous salary as a barometer, even though it was demonstrably biased on the basis of sex.
Right.
But because we are not protected on the basis of sex,
But
there
at
was
least,
no.
At least now in California.
Well, so this is what I'm saying is because there is no Supreme Court law of the land protection, the states are now responsible.
Correct.
And so you can live in California, but you move outside of California, you no longer have those pay protections. Right. And that's part of why getting it into the Constitution really matters.
Well, I remember going for a legal job at a law firm, and they said to me, well, what is your compensation? And I said to them, well, what's the offer? What does the position offer? And I didn't get that job, I swear to God, because I wouldn't give them a number. Because I knew I was working at a studio where I was making X. They were capping the raises. I was way underpaid. In no way was I going to tell them, well, I only make 60 when I should have been making 100. I mean, that's the disparity.
Right.
And so I said to them, well, I have an expectation to make whatever it is you're offering. Like, what is the position offering? So yeah, it was really, really interesting. So, well, it's so great. I love your enthusiasm. I love seeing women out there just putting it all out there and making shit happen. I love that you're an innovator and an entrepreneur, and I wish you all the best of success.
Thank you so much.
Really, I do.